Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Chris. Today's video is for all of you out there who hate Gourmand fragrances. Yes, the Gourmand guys and the Gourmand girlies are getting all the love right now because all the popular perfumes are heavily into the Gourmand notes, particularly vanilla. In fact, when I recently went perfume shopping down in Houston, the sales associate told me that the vanillas are flying off the shelf faster than anything else. And not everybody loves vanilla. Hey, I love vanilla. I could smell like a cupcake or a cookie all day long. But there's some days I don't want to smell like food. And a lot of you out there don't like the idea of smelling like food. So I've got some great baby gourmands or entry gourmands or fragrances that have gourmand elements but do not smell like food. And I may even have something for everybody. I'm just gonna grab and go. And I'm gonna start with a perfume that's really good for this type of weather. It was 80 degrees yesterday and it was 20 degrees today. Literally a 60-degree temperature drop. It's freezing. And this perfume right here called Silky Woods is a perfume I love to wear in the colder months. It is a warm, fuzzy, woody vanilla with a strong suede accord. So there's a lot of suede in here. It's got a little bit of cinnamon. It has a little bit of tobacco. Woods, I think there's oud in here, but I don't smell oud in the typical sense of oud, which oud is a very, very tricky note for me. I only like certain types of oud. So it's warm and woody, but it's not skanky. It's not barnyardy. There's something about this perfume that smells like dried fruits. So a little bit of a hookah vibe, but not quite in that, apple pie zone that a lot of perfumes, which are very popular, are resembling right now. So it does have some of those gourmand elements with cinnamon and dried fruits, but it never quite gets into the overt foodie category. This does remind me of something mildly edible, like a powdered donut or a glazed donut with some leather. So dipping your toes into the gourmand zone, but not quite getting there. Okay, so the next one is a super fun, interesting sandalwood perfume that has a lot of gourmand elements, but this does not smell foodie at all. It is called Lost Alice. So this is definitely a play on the Alice in Wonderland picnic. And you're sipping tea and you're eating some sort of, I think it's a carrot cake, and you're sitting outside in nature. This definitely has a vegetal quality. I think the notes of carrot are in here, but iris or orris can also take on a vegetal quality. So the iris definitely gives it a carroty, earthy, vegetal quality. You've got sandalwood in here. There's a lot of musk. It's a botanical musk, so it's a very clean, kind of an earthy, vegetal musk. There's pepper. It's very milky, so I do think there's a milk accord, and also the sandalwood kind of lends a creaminess to it, a milkiness to it, but it's still never completely edible. I definitely get the point of view of a carrot cake, but it does not smell like a carrot cake at all. It's really not very sweet, and to me the most prominent notes are the sandalwood and the botanical musk, with the other notes kind of playing in the background. A little bit of tea as well to go along with the little tea party. So a really good kind of a baby entry gourmand for my non-foodie lovers. So the next one is a perfume I did not expect to fall in love with. I got the discovery set for Gardini Tuscana last summer, or the end of spring, early summer. And I did a whole video dedicated to this perfume house, and I sprayed this perfume, I wore it, and the opening wasn't spectacular, but because I was testing the fragrances, I went ahead and wore it, continued to wear it even though the opening was a little bit harsh. And oh my gosh, the dry down is to die for. And talk about compliment central. I was on vacation with my family and everybody told me how great I smelled several hours after wearing this. So if you thought Bianca Latte was too gourmand, too sweet, too milky, too creamy, too much into the gourmand category, if you love violets, like a candied violet, this is the next best thing. In fact, I think they're very, very different. Some days I really feel like Celeste, and other days I'm channeling more Bianca Latte. To be honest, Celeste is an easier wear. Bianca Latte is very, very sweet. I have to be in the mood for it, and I would not wear that in the hot weather. I've already worn this in the hot weather, so this works in the hot and the cold weather. So the opening is like a raspberry lime spa water that was served in a plastic cup. So it's a little bit harsh, but if you can get past that opening, the dry down is to die for. It is vanillic, so the vanilla comes out and you've got these candied violets kind of dunked in this beautiful, slightly powdery vanilla. So the floral elements really kind of save it from being something too foody. And it's got those bright, zesty, zingy citruses that also kind of counterbalance the sweetness. This one, most of these perfumes in this line are very, very long lasting. This is one of them, absolutely spectacular for gourmand and non-gourmand lovers alike. Even if you are not a typical fan of violets, which that would be me, this is one of my very favorite violet perfumes at the moment. It's beautiful. So the next one is a perfume I've had for several years, and I just absolutely love this perfume, and it is a great non-gourmand gourmand as long as you love two notes. You have to love lily and you have to love a suede accord, but if you do, this is absolutely spectacular. It is called Blondine, and I show Tissandu all the time for videos like this, but I wanted to showcase Blondine because I still love it after having it for like 3 or 4 years. I happen to be somebody who really enjoys the note of lily. I do like that flower, and there's something about it that's just very, very warm, even though this is certainly a perfume I can wear in the summer, and I do wear it in the summer. So even though it has a very prominent lily note, there are a lot of gourmand elements. So it has butter, there's salt, and there's caramel, but that sounds like it's going to be very, very sweet and thick and gourmandy. It's not, because it has a very heavy suede accord, which gives it some warmth. It's very, very warm. It's enveloping. That very strong lily also counterbalances any of those sweet notes. I guess this could be a scone. This could be a lily scone without any sugar. So that's why I say it's a borderline gourmand, because it's not sweet at all, but it has all these gourmand elements. And I think it is just such an interesting, unique, and beautiful perfume. I just love it. So the next one is a beautiful perfume I've had for years, and I don't think I've ever talked about it, at least here on my channel, and it is called Café Chantant by Nobile 1942. This is a gorgeous, powdery floral that has gourmand elements. It is as close to one of my all-time loves, Cuir Beluga, that I've ever smelled, but they are different perfumes, but in the dry down, they smell remarkably similar. There are some differences. This one has heliotrope. I think Cuir Beluga has heliotrope, but this one has cherry in the opening, so there's a little bit of cherry. It's slightly almondy. It's got that cherry almond, just a touch of a marzipan-y vibe. Again, very, very powdery, a touch of resins, maybe benzoin in here, giving it just a hint of sweetness, but never taking it into the foodie zone. So this differs from Cuir Beluga. Cuir Beluga has aldehydes in the beginning. It's very, very bright. It's got aldehydes and tangerine. It's got this pop when it opens. This one has resins, and this one is slightly more vanillic in the opening. And Cuir Beluga also has suede. It has a really heavy, prominent note of suede, but the suede is very, very light. I do not believe this has suede in it, but they're both kind of this soft, warm, fuzzy type of perfumes. Again, this has heliotrope and maybe a little bit of iris, giving it more of a powdery, floral touch, and it definitely has a vanillic sweetness, but there's something very light and airy about this perfume. I find that Cuir Beluga, even though it is not a powerhouse, it just has more presence. It has a very tight scent bubble, but that scent bubble, I can smell myself all day. This one wears more lightly, and it's just not as dense of a perfume, but definitely they differ in the opening, but definitely very close in the dry down. Do I need both? No, but I think they both have their own unique qualities, which make them very, very pretty, and it's really an underrated gem. Okay, the next one is a great perfume. Now, I have kind of a very tumultuous relationship with Amouage perfumes. Now remember, if you're a return subscriber, you know I never recommend blind buying. I have a list of places where I buy most of my decants, but one of the least blind buy safe houses is definitely Amouage. Amouage has a few perfumes that I think are absolutely spectacular. some of the best smelling perfumes I've ever smelled, and Amouage has some of the worst smelling perfumes I've ever smelled. So definitely not Blind Buy Safe. This one included. This is Sunshine. I bought the tester so I don't have the little fancy cap. And it always kind of bugs me a little bit, but you do save money buying the tester. So Sunshine is a beautiful perfume that features the note of tobacco or tobacco flower, but it absolutely is very unisex leaning. I know a lot of people who are very afraid of tobacco because it leans too masculine, at least that's what they tell me. But this one has some lovely, lovely elements, and it is definitely a year-round perfume, but I tend to wear it more in the summer. So this is not only a good kind of gateway gourmand, but it's a good gateway tobacco, because instead of it being like this heavy pipe tobacco, it is a tobacco flower, so it's a little bit more floral. It has osmanthus in here. Osmanthus smells very apricot-y, kind of peachy. It's a little bit milky. So to me, this smells like you took like tobacco flower, the flower of a tobacco plant, and you kind of dunked it in some apricot milk, and then you let those petals out to dry. So it's not overly milky, it's not overly creamy, it's not overly lactonic or sweet. It has a dryness to it, but it still takes on the presence of something in the background of a beautiful light, kind of an apricot-y cream. So it's fruity, it's got the suede accord, it definitely has vanilla and almond. But gosh, it's just so pretty, and it's not a powerhouse. Unlike most Amouage perfumes, which are absolutely monstrous, this one is not, which is good, because a little of this would go a long way. I wouldn't want to coat myself in this. It wears a little bit more delicately, even though it has some heavy hitters in here. It's beautiful. It is like sunshine, warm sunshine in a bottle. Okay, what else have I got in my little box of goodies here? So the next one is a perfume that I totally fell in love with when it first came out, like 10 years ago. Came out 10 years ago. I never really bought a bottle. I wasn't sure about buying a bottle, and then it disappeared. It was very, very hard to get, and then came back about 2 years ago. It is called Blue Agave and Cacao. Now, this is a very interesting take on cacao. It is a non-gourmand take on cacao because it has Jo Malone perfume in general. They just remind me of something very fresh and light. So this has that Jo Malone lightness. It has the Jo Malone freshness to it. It opens with some citruses. If memory serves, it is a grapefruit. But there's also something that smells a little bit cola-like. So it's a little bit sparkly, it's citrusy, it's got a little bit of a cola vibe and floral. Just a touch spicy, maybe some coriander, a little bit of spices in here. And the floral, I want to say, is linden blossom. So it's definitely floral. So you have to love a little bit of florals, and then you have to love a little bit of some gourmand elements. The cacao comes out in the dry down, so it becomes dusty, slightly chocolatey, but it never is fully chocolate. It leans more towards like a boxed cocoa powder. So it's dusty, it's not overly sweet, it's dry. It's got a little bit of sweetness in the dry down, a little bit of vanilla, and that vanilla is slightly dusted with some cacao. Now, as far as Jo Malone fragrances go, which are not known for their longevity, this one is decent. A lot of Jo Malone fragrances, the longevity is terrible. I would put this decent. So a moderately wearing kind of entryway gourmand with some gourmand elements, but really never smells foody. So one of my very favorites in this box, and I think I might be one of the few people who love it because nobody talks about this perfume, and I think it's absolutely delicious. It is called Kulfi, and it is based on the Indian dessert Kulfi. So Kulfi is a custard type of dessert, very heavy on the spices, particularly cardamom. So this is for all of my cardamom lovers. This is one of the best cardamom perfumes ever created, in my opinion, and it is very, very heavy on the cardamom. So it is a little bit custard-like, but it's more dry. It has a lot of dryness because there's coconut in here. It has a prominent sandalwood, so it's very woody. It's a little bit dusty. It's definitely spicy. I think a little bit of saffron, which is also in Kulfi. And there's definitely vanilla in here, but it's not overly sweet to me. Instead of smelling like a Kulfi. I've had Kulfi. This to me is like a dry cardamom donut. So if you had a cardamom donut that didn't have a lot of sweetness, let's say you cut the sugar in half, it's dry and fluffy and gourmand-like and very spicy, but not overly sweet. I just love it to death, and I might be the only person on the planet because, again, nobody else talks about it, but boy, if you love cardamom and you don't love anything overly sweet, definitely worth a sample. Now, the next one is definitely a floral gourmand, and I know this has a lot of universal appeal because I know I have a lot of friends who do not like foodie type of fragrances, or they don't like smelling like food, and they absolutely love this perfume. It has a lot of gourmand elements, but it is one of the most beautiful tropical floral gourmands in my collection. It is Ylang In Gold. This is not new, but I still absolutely adore it. So it has vanilla, ylang, and coconut. And those notes together translate into sort of a banana vibe. So this has a banana-esque vibe. This is one of those florals that smells a little bit like banana, particularly when you add a little bit of vanilla, but it also has some really fresh fruit elements that pull it out of the sticky sweet, overly foodie, overly vanillic zone. It's got peach and lychee, which gives it a really nice fruitiness. So it's fruity, but it's not syrupy. It's not juvenile. It has a lovely, very slight, fresh fruitiness. This has a beautiful sandalwood in the base and just a teensy bit of oak moss, which I think is very, very important, which also keeps it out of the overly sweet, overly gourmand zone. One of my favorite perfumes to wear in the warmer months. This is like a luxury tropical getaway in the summer. If you have never tested this one, it is spectacular, and I've been wearing something similar to this for 15 years. Before I had this, I had Casimir by Chopard, which is very similar. They're not twins. There are a lot of differences, but it's going to get you very close and in the ballpark. That one is way more peachy. It has this 90 or early 2000s kind of syrupy peach to it. It's sweeter, it's darker, maybe it has brown sugar. This one is much better composed. It's got some fruitiness. It's more fresh. It's lighter. It has that beautiful oak moss, so it's not as sticky sweet. But they are very similar, and I have loved that profile for, like I said, a long, long time. This is the better version to me, and absolutely worth it. A staple for my summer perfumes. And the last one I'm gonna show for my non-gourmand gourmand perfumes is one that is not going to be for everybody, but it is one of my very favorite leather perfumes at the moment. Leather doesn't always work for me, and this one, there's something about it that is just so incredibly unique and intoxicating, and I just love it. And it has the note of popcorn in it, and I used to have several perfumes with the note of popcorn, always looking for that popcorn perfume. Don't ask me why. Don't be afraid of the popcorn note, because this is really a beautiful leather fragrance, and the leather that this is a black, slick leather jacket. Very, very chic. I wear this when I want to feel chic, put together. Let's say I'm wearing a flowy dress and I top it with a black leather jacket and I wear my combat boots. I'm going to be wearing Gardez because it's edgy and chic at the same time. So it has a very strong leather accord to it, but then you get this popcorn, and the popcorn is very, very dry. So it's not like the typical perfumes out there, which are very, very popular right now, very gourmand. So like Caramel Pop from Vivamore or What About Pop, those are very, very gourmand perfumes. They're very, very sweet, very gourmand. This is a very dry popcorn. None of that heavy butter, no caramel, just dried popcorn, maybe a little bit of that background oil. So it just reads slick. There is iris or orris in here, which adds to a little bit of earthiness. It's very woody, that goes along with the leather. It's got a slight touch of a fruitiness, and I mean slight. Blackberry, blackcurrant or a blackcurrant leaf. So it's very slightly fruity and slightly green. It all just goes so well together. Now, these are very expensive perfumes, so I always, like everything else, recommend you testing. Now, I get a ton. I have probably, this is Leonora from Mind Games. I probably have 15 of these 5 ml from Scent Split. So I buy the 5 mls when I think there might be a really good chance I like it because sometimes a 5 ml is all I need. Particularly if you have a really big collection or you're on a limited budget, you can get a very expensive perfume. You don't need a full bottle of everything. I don't need a full bottle of everything. Sometimes 5 ml or even 9 ml is all I need. So sampling first with this one because it's not going to be for everybody. I'm telling you, there are those of you out there that are going to love this perfume and the uniqueness of it. So that is it in my non-gourmand box of perfumes. Let me know what you thought. Did I change anybody's mind? Do any of these sound remotely interesting or test worthy? Thanks for stopping by my channel. I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you like my content because it really helps my channel. And with that, I will see you on the next one, which is non-gourmand vanilla perfumes.